One, you're good. Yeah.
Okay, so turn to the questions that you did yesterday in your little atheist book. We're going to discuss the Embolden first. This is chapter 7 we're in. The last chapter we'll do before the end of the semester. And then I think I told you yesterday, I don't think I told the other class, that, and then second semester is all about, who is Jesus? Did he, is he the Messiah? Is the Bible real? All that stuff we'll talk about. But first we have to make sure there is a first cause, right? There is a God. So that's what we've been doing all this semester, or up till now. Okay, so this is chapter 7, Mother Teresa versus Hitler. The main idea is the moral law is perhaps the greatest proof for the existence of a theistic God. It's hard to deny the fact that people know right from wrong, and that absolute morality exists. Now, that's a pretty interesting statement. It's hard to deny that the fact that people know right from wrong, and it seems all the time, a lot of the time that they don't. But we will use logic to show that they do. They do know right from wrong. And so some of the terms are moral law and situational ethics. And so here's where we are in our logical argument. It is true that the theistic God exists. This is evidenced by the beginning of the universe, the design of the universe, the design of life, and the moral law. So that's the last cog in this part of the logical argument. Okay, so let's talk about these Embolden questions, and you can put your answers down. You can write them as you go. So it is clear that our founders believed in God as well as the moral law. Now, we're not saying they believed in the God of the Bible and believed in Jesus Christ. Many of them did. Some were, like Thomas Jefferson, was deistic, meaning he believed there was a God, but he didn't believe beyond that. So, but they did believe in God. Maybe not the God of the Bible, but they did believe in God. So, so it is clear our founders believed in God as well as the moral law. How does the preamble to the Declaration of Independence reveal such truth? That preamble is the first part where we hold these truths to be self-evident. And they talked about what self-evident meant, right? So, so what does that mean then? That what they believe in God, or that they believe in God? Yes.
Doesn't it say that they are endowed by their Creator?
Yeah, yeah. So they are endowed by their Creator for those inalienable, rights. So yeah. They called those things, life, liberty, and the pursuit of happiness, self-evident. You don't have to back it up. Everybody knows it. Everybody wants. Just when I was young, there was it was called the Iron Curtain between in Europe, between Russia and its client states, including Poland and some other ones, and the free part of Europe. And that Iron Curtain, by the way, I think it was the British Prime Minister who coined the term the Iron Curtain between Europe, free Europe, and communist Europe. And it one of the most memorable parts of living in Europe was going to Berlin. At the time, I believed that that West Berlin was in West Germany, and East Berlin um, was in East Germany. Now it's just Germany, and it's all free, right? That's why the wall came down. I don't know if you've ever heard about that. By the way, I have a little piece of the wall in Berlin that my sister got after it had been knocked down. Anyway, I remember, and it was kind of my first um, inkling that I liked history. I went to the Checkpoint Charlie Museum, the Wall Museum in West Berlin. And West Berlin was an island of freedom in the middle of communist Europe. Um, and I went in there and I saw all these people that had some who had lost their lives, some who escaped from East Germany. My favorite story about that was a guy that got a car, a really low car, and then he put it even lower, and then he took off the whole top of it and the windshield as well, and he put his girlfriend in the back seat, lying down, and he put his girlfriend's mother in the trunk. I don't know what statement that makes, but and he lay down on the seat and he gunned the car, and it went under both the bar across the East German checkpoint and the West as well. And there's a picture of him in that Checkpoint Charlie. That's the American gate, by the way, uh, uh, in that museum. And he's taken off his cap. He's has a comb and is combing his hair, and he's sticking his tongue out at the East German soldiers. They were so desperate to be free. They risked their lives to get out of East Germany, or not out of East Berlin, and out of any communist country. And my guess is that far more people died trying to get out of those communist countries than who survived. One more thing from uh, that trip. And I know this is a long thing for what this one thing, but I think it's important. And I'm still a social studies teacher at heart. But we were visiting when we were in West Berlin visiting friends, longtime friends, and Colonel Dukes was the dad, and Colonel Dukes got permission for us to go into East Germany, outside of East Berlin, into East Germany, to go to the place, I can't remember what it was, but where the armistice of World War II was signed. So all these, famous people, including Franklin Roosevelt, were there at that signing. So, so he got permission, or he got permission for that. But well, sort of. So the East Germans said, okay, they can come, the Collidays can come. That's my maiden name, but General Colliday has to be with them. So the East German people said, yep, General Colliday can come in. The West German people said, yes, General Colliday can come in. NATO said, heck no, you are not going. So they said we couldn't come in without him. But we went anyway because Colonel Dukes wasn't going to let that happen. But here's the thing. I remember we're in a car and we're going across this big river, and there are two huts, as we come to the border. And the hut on the left, Colonel Dukes told us, was the East German soldiers. And the one on the right were the Russian soldiers. And as we got up there, he spoke fluently both Russian and German. So he's talking to these Russian. The Russians come out to give us the ability to go into East Germany, and they let us in. It was amazing. But here's my thing. This would be like us allowing, I don't know, China to decide who comes into the United States, or even England telling no, we get to do that. That's the Russian reach of power was all over Eastern Europe. And that was, for me as a 10th grader, it just seemed just I think that was the first time I really realized that I liked history. But yeah, it really was um, interesting. So anyway, but those closed countries, and there still are closed countries like China and North Korea and Russia to a certain state, to a certain point, that don't allow their people freedom. And part of that, I think, is as young people, you have to be really grateful that you live in a country that allows you to be free. We have a lot of skeletons in our closet. We've done a lot of things wrong, but that's not one of them. And my experience with closed countries, including living very close to the DMZ in Korea, very close to North Korea, at a time when hostilities were really bad. It's we are blessed to have that. Anyway, okay, now I'll put on my Bible. After reading the conversation Frank Turek had with his friend Dave over dinner, what significant truths did he share with his friend? What did he say? Yes.
That his friends' truth doesn't matter because according to his friends' own ideas, doesn't exist.
Yeah. So yeah, there was no purpose, right, in doing good, helping people. Um, if this life is all there is, why? Why should you help people? Where did he get that idea? Why do we want to help people? And I think that desire to help, which most people have, right, reflects a standard that we all understand is there, right? It's the reason why you let someone go first, right? It's the reason why you help someone who's in need. I can't imagine one of you walking across to your locker and you drop your books accidentally, and no, everybody just walks by and says, "I don't care." Someone's going to help you, right? And that's in our heart. It's what God has put in us. Okay, let's do the equivalent. What are some different names for the moral law? What's one of them?
Just
Conscience is one. Yeah.
Natural law.
Natural law.
Nature's law.
Yeah. Nature's law. Those are the three most. Number two, write out the argument for the moral law. So you've already done that. So every law has a lawgiver. There is a moral law. Therefore, there is a moral lawgiver. And then fill in these blanks. You can just shout them out as I read this. without an
Objective standard.
of meaning and morality, then life is
Meaningless.
and there's nothing
Absolutely right.
or
Wrong.
absolutely wrong. Everything is merely a
Matter
of
opinion.
a matter of opinion. Yes. When we say the moral law exists, what does that mean? Yes, John.
All people naturally have a fundamental sense of right and wrong in their
Yeah. And I know we're getting to this, but even if they say they don't believe the moral law exists, they do. They do. All people have a fundamental sense of what is right and what is wrong. What are some things we can't not know? Which is another way of saying we have to know. All know. What are some things that we can't not know that are wrong?
That is wrong to kill in a second emergency.
It's wrong to kill. Just kill.
Yeah.
It's wrong to murder, right? There is killing that is justified. Murder is the word for unjustified killing. Okay. Yeah, murder is wrong. What else? What else? Yes. Disrespecting your parents is wrong. Lying, treachery, betrayal, unfaithfulness, all are wrong. And we know it. Sometimes we do those things, right? But we know they're wrong. That's why we feel bad when we do those things. Most of us do. There are many reasons we know the moral law exists, but for now, write down the 8 reasons presented on page 172. So I'm just going to read these because you have written them down. 1 is the moral law is undeniable. 2 is we know it by our reactions, and people can say that's not bad, or that's that wasn't I wasn't doing something wrong, but we see it in their reactions, right? What do you do? Those of you, do you all drive? You drive. When someone cuts you off, what do you do? You get angry, don't you? You honk and you get angry. Have you ever cut someone off?
Yes.
Yes, you have. You know, and you're like, I'm okay, that's all right. Yeah, we understand by our reactions. It is the basis of human rights. And everybody wants human rights, correct?
Yes.
I mean, that whole story, those stories I told you, that people yearn to be free. It's why so many people come to the United States, so they can be free. We all want that. And teenagers should know that more than any, because you have restrictions on you that you won't have on you when you're an adult, and you're yearning for that time. Am I right? I was. I'm sure I really was. Listen, it's the unchanging standard of justice. Wow. Do you have a pass?
Yeah.
Put it on my desk, please. The unchanging standard of justice. Shh. No talking, please. It defines the real difference between positions. That's Mother Teresa and Hitler. We know the difference between the two of them, right? Because of the moral law. Since we know what's absolutely wrong, there must be an absolute standard of rightness and rightness. The moral law is the grounds for all moral and political dissent. Again, that's stories I told you. If there is no moral law, how then we would, wow, can't even read my own handwriting. If there is no moral law, then we wouldn't make excuses for the wrong things we do, right? If you do something wrong, if your teacher says, you cheated and you cheated, you'll say, "Oh, I'm sorry." No, if you thought that was okay, you'd be like, "I'd do it again. I don't think it was bad." Now that's going to get you in more trouble, so don't say that. But we know what's wrong. In your own words, explain why the moral law is undeniable. Now you get to answer. Yes, Josh.
The only way to deny moral law is to use a tactic or some statement that runs on no grounds using certain reasons.
Actually, I just told you to go up to 6, right? But you got that one done. That's good.
Yeah.
Okay, so we're done for today. I was going to give you a reading assignment for homework, but since we've got one extra day that I didn't know we had, you'll do that tomorrow. Okay, so no homework.
You're welcome.